Black, y'all. Get on up. Black, y'all.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Cap or No Cap. I am your host, Kevin C. Meggett, and I have
Dawud Barnes, everybody call me Big WOP. Big
Okay.
Dog. Everybody versus Injustice.
Keona, they call me the mortgage lady. I'm representing Everybody versus Injustice and Music Mortgage.
Ronald, everyone calls me Heezie, also represent Everybody versus Justice, as well as Stop the Violence and GRIP.
Well, that's what's up, man. Like, let's give them a shout out because I like stopping the violence. I like Everyone versus Injustice because there's no one entity that could do that's going to make change. We got to collectively do it as a collective. You know what I mean? You can have individual causes, but we got to come together as a group to get anything done. So, I mean, I applaud you for that. You brothers put on a hell of a concert up in Yonkers, man. Shout out to Yonkers, YO, you know. So, and you had Jadakiss and Styles P. You had 2/3 of the locks. I mean, like, how big is that? That gets a round of applause too, right? No cap. Let's talk about Everyone versus Injustice. What is the premise of it? What is your goal?
It's clear that when we have a target, we have to target something. It's a system that's very unjust. But the point of Everybody versus Injustice is that we have to stop being unjust with each other in order for us to fight the injustices that we face on a daily. So it's like a dude told me, he said, if everybody comes to your house and you get to let them throw some coffee on the floor, you throw trash on the floor, you smoke, you throw it on the floor, and then all of a sudden you want to tell one person to clean up. First of all, when you come to the house, everybody's treating the house dirty.
That's right.
So if we don't fix it internal as we fight the external, we're not going to get nowhere. So everybody has to come together and say, we have to stop being just with each other, and then we're going to fight the major injustice, which is white supremacy, which is generational oppression, which is unfair housing, unfair education, unfair healthcare, and the list goes on. But in order for us to do that collectively, because the tree of white supremacy is so far deep rooted into the ground, we have to actually be able to come together, because it's going to take all of us to knock that tree over, because that tree is so rooted, it's almost at the center of the earth. It's so strong, white supremacy.
Absolutely.
In this planet.
And it's crazy that you say that, because you're gonna need some white folk, because we don't have a color problem. So you know what I mean? So they're gonna have to face their own demons, and it's not to say every white person is a white supremacist. There are good and bad people in every race. You know what I mean? So one of the things that I really enjoyed about the show in Peekskill, is that you had people, you had European people up there telling you how to get paid, like, how to use bitcoins and foreign currency. And matter of fact, isn't the mayor of Peekskill, wasn't he a rapper or something like that?
He is a rapper.
He is a rapper. That's dope.
He got a song with Styles P.
Wow. Shout out to hip hop and politics coming together. Come on, let's give that up. You know what I mean? And I keep saying that. One of the things that is happening is that hip hop as a culture is becoming more political. But we're growing up. I'm sorry, I take that back. We're grown. I mean, we had Grandmaster Melly Mel on here. Shout out to him recently, and this man's a great grandfather. So I mean, hip hop is way grown, and to hear the mayor of Peekskill is an MC, that's a lot. We need more of that. Yeah.
I think that's it's like a door breaker, right? He kicked down the door, because when you think about, like you said, hip hop, it's always been kind of like categorized with that stigma of, the drug dealers, the killers, and so on, and then it evolved into the entertainment aspect. But hip hop has always been, in my opinion, kind of shunned for country and rock and all that, as if it was lesser than.
Right.
And now that we get to have some of our political figures, like the mayor, not only be an artist, but be a political figure, and not afraid to not only embrace, but say, listen, we're putting politics and music together.
That's beautiful.
And you should love it. I think that's definitely
dope.
a powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is what is your role in Everybody versus Injustice?
Okay, well, I come from a mortgage banker background, but before the mortgage banker, WOP, I call him WOP, the governor, Mr. Everybody versus Injustice. When I was young, about 18 years old, I was modeling, and we met at like a fashion show.
Okay.
And he said, I really like your style and how you carry yourself, and I'm opening a business soon, and I want to talk to you about an opportunity. So I was like, okay, it sounds good. And a couple of months later, he was in the process of opening a business. We sat down, we chatted. I ended up working for him back then as a young adult. And everything worked out really good. I mean, he not only employed me at the age of 23 you was, or 24, and I was 18. He employed a lot of people in that community. And it was just a good, safe environment, a nice environment to work in. And I learned a lot, because what he did for me was he allowed me to command my position and grow as a business person.
Okay.
So, we kind of separated, and we was apart for a very long time.
Okay.
But as soon as time permitted and all was well, we got right back together. And I'd say in like 120 days, 90 days, we threw this concert. Nice. So we also had artists from Harlem that came up. We had DJ Webstar, who is a classic. And, we just wanted to put together the Stop the Violence rally through Everybody versus Injustice, because we see that there's a void in our communities, and we don't have a lot of power and a lot of voice. And so we know that it starts with financial literacy, because we need to come together financially to have more power as a unit. So my whole position on that is going into the low and moderate income neighborhoods, teaching first-time homebuyer courses, teaching people where they can get grant money from to purchase these homes, and for down payment or free credit consultation. I also teach them how to get the money to buy the house, fix their credit, and then with saying all of this, there's the Section 8 piece, where a lot of people don't know that you can take your Section 8 voucher and turn it into a home ownership voucher. So it would be the same situation if they was paying your mortgage versus if they was paying your rent. It's still set up the same way.
That is very powerful what you just said, because you have a lot of women and men that are in shelters right now. I mean, the shelters are busting through the seams.
Did you know that an 18-year-old kid coming straight out of high school, because I've done it before, can actually purchase a home, and in lieu of work history for 2 years, they can use their high school diploma as long as they have a job for 30 days, and their income can offset the mortgage. And if a kid has Section 8, like for instance, I had a very close family member whose parent died when they was 20 years old, and they had to take over that Section 8 household. Had we knew what we knew back then, now she could have bought a house with the Section 8. There was no, I'm sure, insurance plan, maybe, or not a big one left for her, because we are out here educating, planning, but we're also, with my brother's piece, we go into some of the toughest neighborhoods, and we talk to these kids. He mentors these kids. He gives them, power and empowers these kids. So, that's what we're doing now. We're working on turning this whole
And you have, WOP, you have such a natural presence, because I remember seeing you at a video shoot, right? And you had this big pit, you know what I mean? Like barbecuing and just before the fire was lit, it just looked so attractive. I mean, he had oranges in there and smoked wood, and I mean, it just looked attractive. And I mean, I wasn't able to stay. I was kind of, they were like, we gotta go. I wanted to stay and wait till you chart up that grill. So you gotta let me know when you're doing that again.
That's
you know what I mean?
You gotta spend the model though,
you know what I mean? But everyone was there, and you said, nah, you could pay for the shirt, but the food is free. And all of those kids were there. Like, there were a lot of kids there. There was a lot of people there. And that's love, man. And so we look at the disparities in the hood, right? But we never look at the success stories that come out of the hood, too. A lot of people think the hood is just so messed up. There's a lot of love in the hood, too. And we don't, and so how do we focus it? How do we zero in on that? You know what I mean? That's kind of like, that's the challenge, you know what I mean? So what inspired you to do what you're doing?
Well, I came up, Grand Concourse, East Tremont, Staten Island, and all my big homies. And it's something, you know, if we go back to the history of New York City, if you was getting it, you gave back. You had a hot dog event on the corner, or you got the kids school supplies. And this is not without, you know, going to sleep with somebody's moms or going to sell somebody's grandmother some drugs. You just gave back because that's your community. You understand that, yes, I'm causing a little destruction, but maybe I could just, you know, throw a little good into it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, oh, I'm just going to be a Destructicon. Nah, you know, we all have, my old preacher told me, my imam, he said, if you do evil to somebody and later on it don't bother you, you better watch it, because that means your heart's gone. So sometimes we get in a moment where we have to smack somebody or punch somebody. Later we don't think, man, I could let that guy go. If you don't think, you're morally corrupted. Right. So, you know, it goes in, and we have to understand. You said the powerful thing, you said about love in the community. The power about bringing love into the community is don't expect love in return. Right. Because love is not for you to be tit for tat, reciprocated. It's not for that. You love because you love who you are. Right. And when you loving who you are, you want to show people how powerful you are through your support, your appreciation, and showing them. Because if we don't put love into the community, then it's just commune. Because you cannot spell community without unity. And putting love into the community allows us to have unity in the community. And the first thing we know is people, we like food and we like entertainment. And then you can always get the message across. So that's why I always bring the food. We ain't crooking, we cooking. We ain't faking, we baking. We not snitching, we in the kitchen. So I put the food out there, and then I bring the entertainment, because I know a lot of people, and then I know power people. I know for one, she talks about the mortgage. For one, he talks about his story, about being in a young, corrupted mentality and going through the conditions that a lot of our young brothers going through. I bring in a lady that's going to talk about foreign. I bring in teens under construction that's going to talk about the mental health crisis that we face in our community. Because we're going to hear people right now shout, oh, Black Lives Matter, you know, corporate clout, political clout, blackface clout. You're going to hear all these people shout about Black Lives Matter, but you got these organizations, Black Lives Matter took in billions in donations. They didn't put up no mental health centers in our community. They didn't do nothing. That's just a slogan, and that's just an organization. When we talk about Black Lives Matter, what you doing in your community for the black people? Right. That you say that our lives matter.
It's funny that you say that, because when I'm asked, when they say Black Lives Matter, the first thing that I always say off the rip is, to who? Who does it matter to? Because if I see my brother and I have so much contempt, and I hate him so much, and I decide to kill him, it doesn't matter amongst us, right? And I hope you're not appealing to Europeans that your life matters, because they know your condition because they gave it to you.
Yes.
So we have to take a step back, breathe, and then come up with a plan. A black plan matters, and that's what we don't have. And that's why I love what you're doing, because you are appealing to the masses, and you're doing it through, I'll give you a perfect example. Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew, Black Panthers. 3 total different ideologies. How were they able to reach the people? Food, shelter, clothing, and some type of opportunity. Right. And that's what I don't see in Black Lives Matter. I mean, let's talk about it. No cap.
Well, I think it's important because, you know, as he said, I went to prison for 16 years. Okay. I was amongst the destruction of my community. I sold drugs. I did this and that. I went in as a high school dropout, and I came in a college graduate. Came out. Graduated with a 4.0 GPA. I'm still in college now. So I simply could have just, that's what my thinking was. I simply could have just came home and lived my life, right? Quietly faded to black, so to speak. But I said, you know what? Because I'm educated, I know I can do more. I feel like I'm obligated to do more. I think, they say your debt is paid to society when you're released from prison. I felt like my debt started because I had that education. So originally when I was tossing the idea of stop the violence around in my head, it was something on the most minute scale of me just wanting to tell my story. So I grew up under him, under WOP, and I'm like, you know what? Let me pitch it to him and see what he thinks. And he took it beyond anything I could have possibly imagined.
That is so dope.
So, in my mind, I'm saying, because I was part of the problem, I now have to become the solution.
Right.
You know? So my thing is I want to make sure that I'm out there pounding the pavement, speaking to whoever I can, going to group homes, going to these halfway houses, you know, educating in the best way that I possibly can. And I'm a work in progress myself. I'm still learning.
Right.
I don't ever want the day to come where I say I know everything.
And you never, and that's the beauty thing. You hit something that was very key, is you're a work in progress, and you're never going to stop that progress until they close your casket.
Right.
I mean, we're going to learn to the day we die.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I really, really applaud everything that you guys are doing, what you're standing for, because you're actually putting teeth behind what you're saying. You're not just out here chanting and slogan. You're like, no, Black Lives Matter, because we need resources. You know what I mean? Like you're bringing a resource to the community. You're bringing a resource to the community. You're bringing a resource to the community. Like, that's so important, you know, and this is what a lot of people don't get. I mean, all the money that Black Lives Matter and all these other fake groups should be really diverted to what you guys are doing, you know what I mean? And I hope that you are gelling what you're doing and getting in front or behind of or getting some kind of funding, because I would kind of get what you're doing before any of those things, because those are commercial.
Right.
And I'm not for the commercial, you know? I'm for the underdog, I'm for the underground. That's where everything is popping, you know what I mean?
No,
like
absolutely.
you're not,
blood, sweat, and tears.
it's underground and on the underdog, you know what I mean? So I mean,
and we have that plan. We have that plan, us three plus another partner of ours, Miss Dottie.
Dottie.
You know, we started our own company. It's called Grip, and we got a lot coming. You know,
That's
a lot of pop-up, you know, my big dog right here, he talks about a lot of pop-ups that we want to do for mental health awareness, you know, just so many different avenues that we want to pursue to try to reach the kids instead of just staying in one lane. We want to try to, you know, create our own conglomerate, right?
That's right. And it's so important, because speaking to kids, like, at the end of the day, like, a lot of these, we don't talk about mental health. And how it's really affecting us. I mean, it's so deep rooted that we don't even know where to. It's PTSD. That rabbit hole goes real deep.
That PTSD.
You know, yeah.
The rappers are starting to rap about this. Not to interject, it is now being looked at as it should. It's giving music, they're mentioning. People are more aware. Chicago. They're going outside every day. Murder, death, kill, homicide. Boom, boom, boom. These little kids are so conditioned on their way to school to the shootings that it's just nothing else, unless it affects them personally. Somebody they know got killed. But this is a normalcy for a small child in Chicago, and it shouldn't.
Absolutely.
We are conditioned to think that the behaviors that we exhibit from dealing with PTSD in our communities is normal, and it is not.
One of the things that I'm huge on, right? Like, when I look at PTSD, because I look at things differently. Like, you know, some people say we get a lot of PTSD because we have years of neglect. I want to call PTSD post-traumatic slave disorder.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we have to, in order to actually combat the problem, we got to be able to identify and recognize the problem. And so what I'm always quick to say is that slavery was 100% a financial issue. It wasn't a political issue, it wasn't a social issue, it wasn't a gospel, it was an economic issue. And this is how we got into this predicament we're in right now, through economics. So the only way, and this is why I really love what you're doing, the only way for us to come out of it is economically. We're not going to come out of our condition until we change our economics. And the only way to change our economics is small black businesses, where we're patronizing and we're grouping our economics together to compete like other groups of people.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't,
because we financially
hate is such a wasted emotion. But where the hate is coming from is we don't have the ability to compete.
We're 400 years financially behind. They got to keep that money from the mortgages that they put on us.
You want to hear something even?
And I know that.
You want to hear something even deeper?
Most of these banks had mortgages on black people.
Yeah, not only that. You want to hear something real deep, sis?
Absolutely.
When they abolished slavery, when slavery was abolished, Do you know slave owners got reparations for their lost property?
Of course.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm not going to sit there, but what I'm not going to do is beg someone for what I could get on my own.
Exactly. That's what.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not going to, I'm going to keep the needle on the record.
Give a clap on that, man.
Okay, you got it.
And you know what? That's
I'm not gonna beg for something that I could get on my own. See, I don't want nothing from anybody, because I think if we're all on the same page as a collective, there's nothing we can't take.
Nothing you can't.
Absolutely.
And that's what hip hop was. I'm not gonna wait for you to. I don't need your permission to be seen and heard. This is early hip hop, and I was fortunate to experience it. You know, very first generation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's right.
I'm talking Grandmaster, Melly Mel. You know, I'm talking Cold Crush.
The real OTs.
Yeah, I'm talking about the real people that selflessly paved the way for something to get up out of a negative situation, and that's what that was. I mean, Wise Intelligence said it the best. He said hip hop was like manna that came out the sky. We're naturally gifted.
Yes, we are.
I think it was Styles P that said this. I think it was a Breakfast Club or something. He was talking about how there's 3 seconds on a shot clock in a basketball game. And they hand the ball, the guy spins around and throws it up and scores to win the game, all in 3 seconds. You got to be a genius to do that.
So you're intelligent black man.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Right.
No one looks at it from that aspect. Like the genius you have to be to time that in, do what you got to do, and score. So naturally, we're geniuses. Naturally, we can come up.
Well, we're the authors of civilization.
Right, but see, it's a check and balance. It's a scale.
Yeah.
If we come up, someone's got to come down. And so what you're looking at is what you're looking at is a group of people that are scared to relinquish that power, because that means that their time is up.
See, one thing we learn about power is based on the action. So when you're not really confident or sure with your power, you're gonna do all these reckless, malice, you're gonna hateful. You're gonna do all these spins, and that's why I get real mad. 2 things I get mad at: when you have somebody speaking the language of the oppressor and say, "Oh, we should worry about black on black crime." No, let's worry about what created these conditions for black on black crime. So if you want to talk that, let's talk about how we can fix these conditions. Right. And then if we fix the conditions that was set, then we could say, okay, now brothers, y'all, we can't be doing this. You know what I'm saying? Have a little more patience with your brother. But y'all set us in these conditions. And then the worst thing I don't like is when I see our people, you get a little fame, you get a little notoriety, you get up there and you wearing Gucci, you wearing Prada, you wearing all these things that represent oppression. If you a star, you a celebrity, rock your own clothing line, because you are a trendsetter. You are very brilliant. You are a genius. You out there entertaining people. People are feeling your swag. They feeling your drip. So now make them understand this is what your drip is. Wear your own stuff. Right. As we should stop supporting people that don't support us. You don't see no Gucci community center skating ring in our center. You don't see no McDonald's boxing center. You don't see none of this stuff in our community. But we always supporting them. We can't support people that don't support us. That's the first initiative. And our buying power is our voice. And we don't understand how powerful our dollar is, we're not gonna understand nothing. If you're gonna keep giving your dollar to somebody that hates you, you telling me right then and there that you hate me.
But I think the most important thing for that too, though, is understand the recognition. So when you fully understand that, don't shun it. Right. When you say to yourself, you know what, this matters. This is a point. This really matters. So now, like for me, I had the typical stuff, whatever your clothing line was. Now in my closet, Everybody versus Justice. Vinny Vulture. Right. Another young lady named Marlicia, she got Pray Hustle Shine. I wear her stuff. So now I want to filter my money towards the people that I know hopefully is going to, help us, build the brands and the conglomerate that we want. Because at the end of the day, like you said, it's about financial wealth. Right.
And
if you don't have the money, there's not much you can do.
Right. It's education, and we need to start there.
Absolutely.
It's education.
It's never too late, sis. I went into high school,
I'm saying
dropout.
With the education piece of it, though, they need to stop teaching slavery in school so young. That's a problem. There are other people who were conglomerates during slavery, black people. You can look up Anthony Johnson, who owned over 200 acres of land as a tobacco farmer in Virginia and never became enslaved, nor did his offspring, and none of them.
Right.
It was when his grandson died and had no offspring that the state of Virginia take back that land. But don't believe the hype. There are powerful black people currently right now, and there was powerful black people during slavery, but they don't like to talk about that because that's empowering to us, and knowledge is power. So I just wanted to say that last piece about
the application of knowledge is power.
Yeah,
because they don't teach us that.
Because we know a computer has knowledge, but no, the computer doesn't have knowledge because it has information. It doesn't act upon that knowledge.
Absolutely.
So if we get the information and we don't act upon it, we just very informative people. But now we take that information and we apply it, we become a knowledgeable bunch of people. And that's one thing that gets in my way, irritates me, because we don't apply what we need to apply. And that's something that we have to get going. We have to get going. And that's why we network. We network with groups of people that say, I want to do this. I want to make this happen. I'm with putting a jumping rope, a double dutch tournament, and making it a double dutch tournament that people come to, and we keep our girls from out here from being sex traffic slaves, keep them from being knocked up at 13, 14, keep these big phonies coming home and giving our little kids guns and telling them, don't worry, you're only gonna get 6 years because you're under 16. You're keeping dudes having women out here selling their butt like that's the only talent they got. Nah, this woman's talented, bro. She's a thinker. She can make her own clothes. She has fashion. That's not her only road to sell. So we gotta start calling people. I hate that people want to call R. Kelly out when we got a whole bunch of people that's R. Kelly's age hanging by the high schools, hanging by the middle schools. We need to start locally in our community calling people out. Because we get on social media, we call anybody out. We can talk about Jada getting this, we can talk about this person doing that. We can do it all on social media. But we need to attack stuff right here in our community because that's where it starts. The power is in our community.
That's right.
So where are you going with this? Where are you trying to take everybody versus injustice? What's the mission statement? Where's the big picture to this? I mean, you're starting locally. How big are you trying to be? Nationally, globally?
Global.
That's what's up.
Everybody can get
That's what's
involved.
up.
This is
universal if we can. If we go to other planets, we want to go there too.
I sold about 600 shirts in Africa.
Wow.
And we've been doing this, selling shirts for 2.5 months. I sold over 8,000 shirts.
Wow.
So and every time we sell shirts, we put back in the community. We're gonna do mental health pop-ups. We're gonna teach kids how to cook. We don't discriminate. We're not from that community. We are from that community because you look just like us.
Right.
You look just like us. You are being oppressed just like us. So understanding that is my community too. Because anywhere somebody's being oppressed, that's where I live at too. Because I'm from a community where I'm being oppressed.
That's what's up.
I think it's very important for us to hopefully spread the message that everything that we do, we're trying to do it for the next generation. I sit here today with the understanding that I probably won't see the full fruition of what we're doing in my lifetime, and I'm okay with that.
That's right.
I know that I have to be the one to try to plant the seed, and that's fine. Somebody has to do it somewhere, and I fully embrace the challenge, and we're here to get it done.
All right, everybody versus injustice on KAP or no KAP. They definitely up here. They telling the truth. No KAP. So we're gonna give them one more round of applause. Follow their movement. Where can I find you on social media?
For the Love of Peace Skill.
Okay.
At gmail.com. Also, each one of our individual sites. We're all over, Facebook, Instagram, Heezie 914, Ronald Heezie Hatfield, Dawud Barnes, Miss Keona Kissback on Facebook. That's your Facebook, right?
Yep, and it's music underscore mortgage.
Lottie Dottie. Let's not forget our
email, and we got Lottie Dottie, all things Dottie on Instagram.
Thank you for coming on KAP or no KAP. I appreciate y'all. Anytime you need a voice or a platform, you have a home here. Thank you so much.
Understand if you're not fighting injustice,
you are the injustice.
That's what's up. Peace.
Black, y'all.